Hello, Skyland family. I'm Charles Frederick, Chair of our Finance Committee, and yes, it's time for your annual financial update. As we move into the stewardship season and we start wrapping up what has been a really undescribable year, I'm pleased to give you some updates and also tell you where we are with our budgeting process. Now, one thing I want to mention before we even get started is a lot of you've heard a lot about the PPP, Payment Protection Plan program. Our church did participate in that, and we received a PPP loan for $72,500. That has been a saving grace for us this year as we move forward through the pandemic. As of now, the loan is not yet forgiven, but I feel certain that will be the case when the time comes for Skyland. As of October 25th, a lot of you will see this in the newsletter, we are currently slightly behind on our net income year to date by $7,500. This does include the income we did receive from the PPP loan. While we still had a negative plan of $53,000, that still puts us well ahead of where we would have been with our plan. But again, we've been saved by the PPP. Our income year to date is 15% less than budgeted, or $73,000. Our pledged income is only slightly behind plan, but the biggest difference is because we've not been going to church on Sundays, is our unpledged income is very much behind plan, almost half of what we normally receive by this time year to date. On the other side, expenses have been doing much better than planned by $120,000. The staff and the trustees and all the groups of the church have been doing a great job. And of course, we haven't been going into the building very often, so we've been able to curtail expenses. We will see these increase slightly as we move forward through Q4 of this year as we are reopening in some instances in the church. The pledges that we have left that we expect to receive for the rest of this year and the expenses that we still see expected for this year, we're projecting that we'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of break even on our net income by year end. I have to say that's a good news story at what all we've been through this year. Our general fund, or our cash position, is $160,000. What this represents is almost 4 times our expenses on our current expense rate monthly and 3 times our budgeted expense rate monthly. Let's talk a little bit about the budget for next year. Right now, our proposed budget has come in at a little over $630,000. That's actually over $6,000 less than 2020. And I want to thank all the work groups and the ministries for diligently working through this and presenting us with their request. But let me put it this way. If we look at the pledges for 2021 remaining equal with 2020, which is around $490,000, that's still a very large deficit for us that we'll be looking at next year of almost $140,000. If we take just a 10% unpledged income number, which is more than half less than what we usually get, that means that we still would have a budget deficit of a little bit less than $100,000. So I want to leave that with you as we move forward into the stewardship campaign as to what our needs will be for our church for the year 2021. Our commitment cards will be mailed out right after the election on November 4th. You'll be receiving those in the mail, and then on November 15th on Sunday, Dan, myself, and others will be there for anybody who'd like to drive by the church and drop off their commitment cards and just speak to somebody, and we'll thank you for what you do, and that will be our Commitment Sunday, November 15th. We also will be able to receive them by mail as usual. One thing we're adding this year is a giving by text capability, which is new for us, and some of you may be excited about that. So let's talk about our 2021 challenge as we go forward. The last thing we want to do is have to make very, very difficult decisions with our church finances next year. But unless we see an increase in our pledged income, I'm afraid that may be the case. We need to increase our pledging, and our current budget is not sustainable without it. And I do not want us to think about the difficult decisions that we may be faced, but that's something we will have to decide upon once the pledges come in, and we'll be voting on this in December. So with that, I ask you to please give careful thought and prayer to what you and your families may be able to do to help us with Skyland so we can continue the great work we do with all of our missions and all the services we provide. I'm more than welcome to answer any questions you might have. Please feel free to reach out to me or to the church, and thank you for all that you're doing. Have a great day.